Hi there guys, it's Joel here from Aussie Chart Trends. Today's update is for Wednesday, the 20th of February 2013. You'll notice that the website is still playing up, guys. I'm not sure what's going on there, but I've got the web designer looking at it now, and hopefully we'll get that issue resolved. What I'll do in the meantime is I'll leave the written commentary there, and I'll post the link that you can copy and paste into your browser, and you can still access the day's video via YouTube. So I'm sorry for the inconvenience, guys. It's just the way it is at the moment, and we're working hard to get that issue resolved. Before we get into today's update, I just need to remind you that the website and the video are for educational purposes only. Nothing stated at the site or in the video was intended to be used as any form of investment advice. I'm not a licensed professional. You need to make your own decisions regarding your investments. I'm just here to help anyone searching for a practical direction in today's markets. Okay, so let's look at the S&P 500 here on the 15-minute chart. In last night's trade, we've seen the markets rally on up. Now, in yesterday's video, we were discussing that whether the S&P was going to round back over to break this red line. And the other possibility that we had was that the S&P would rally on up to break over or challenge this purple line. Now, that purple line, if we look on the 3-day chart just quickly, that is this overhead resistance line. Now we're over it. So that is an indication now that the S&P is showing signs of strength, but there's also a sign of weakness that I want to point out, and that is the fact that the S&P gapped on up last night, showed some real strength, and then we had this little bit of buying pressure at the end of the day. And we closed just over this green line here and our blue line. And this blue line we mentioned last week, it has a number of areas there of resistance, and we closed just over it last night. And this green line is the midline. If we have a look on the 3-day chart again, it is the midline to our rising wedge pattern. So the market is showing a bit of strength. But one thing that I do want to point out is every time we get over this purple line, which we did in 2011 a couple of times, you'll notice there was a lot of volatility to the upside, but then we only came down eventually to break below this purple line. So the fact that we're over this line now and just over it shows that the S&P is really pushing on up. And this is where we need to be alert, because we all know what happened here in 2011. We had such a huge sell-off, and then we had a volatile couple of months there, which was pretty much impossible to chart, and I'll be the first to admit that. But that's just something to keep in mind. The fact that we're over this area now kind of tells me that the S&P may not have too much steam left in it. So after observing last night's trade, we take a look on a 5-minute chart. You can see here after we gapped on up, we created a very steep rising channel, and guys, you wouldn't expect that the S&P would stay in this rising channel for too long. So we just need to see a break of this bottom channel line, and then you'd expect that the S&P would come down to back test this 1523 area. And most likely we'd probably see a bit of selling pressure in tonight's trade, and then we would see that move down to the 1520s to see if we could hold there with that level of support. And guys, we're only talking from 1530 area to the 1523 area. So if we break this 1523 area in tonight's trade, well, we'll have this red line to break. I just deleted that black line that was there. I don't know what that was doing there. We'd have this red line here. Now that's that red line that we've been eyeing off now for ever since the start of January, and it just does not want to break. But guys, I think it's pretty certain that we probably most likely come below this resistance area tonight and potentially break this bottom line. Okay, looking on the hourly chart here of the Asx200, guys, today we pretty much came up to challenge this top channel line, and today we've seen the market slightly get over it and then we came down, but we still closed higher at a higher rate today because we gapped on up. So you'd expect that potentially that would see this gap eventually get filled. When is the question. Now, as we've mentioned before, whenever the market gets over this channel line, temporarily we seem to either consolidate or get slammed right down to the bottom of the channel. So guys, the fact that we slightly got over the top here today tells me that we're a little bit overextended with buying pressure, and we really need to see this bottom green line break, which is sort of the midpoint to this channel. If we were to see this line break, well, then we'd see a level down here around that 5,060 level to test this rising level of support. But otherwise, guys, the Asx200 is still intact and looking quite good. Alright guys, that pretty much wraps up today's update of the S&P and the Asx200. As we've seen, the Asx200 closed up about 16 points today. I think it was about 18 points yesterday. We're seeing smaller and smaller moves out of that index. So I think that little green channel line is actually showing us that the buying pressure is starting to wane off. And the fact that we actually had an intraday high over that top channel line sort of tells us that things may be starting to weaken off here. But we've just got to be aware and cautious, because there's usually always a surprise at the top of the market where you think, oh, hang on, I think this might be the pattern, and then all of a suddenly we're looking at a completely different pattern altogether. And that's why I do these updates on a daily basis, so that we don't miss any moves. Alright guys, I'll be back tomorrow with a fresh daily market update, and hopefully we'll get the members area sorted out. Alright, I'll see you guys then.